So I'm currently waiting on the upload for the FTX video, so I thought I'd cover off this one relatively quickly in terms of what we saw yesterday. We had a pretty good day yesterday in terms of volatility and potentially actionable setups, and Link is the key talking point around this video because of the reaction that we saw from Link. And it's something that I kind of just want to put across, as well as the Medium article that I've just retweeted, is these conditions will fuck you hard. Okay, shorting these conditions, you need to be experienced in, number one, the market conditions, and secondly, very, very well disciplined, because otherwise, okay, your anus is going to get pounded. When we see shorts and we see assets pull back 2, 3, 4, and in Link's case 10, 11, 12%, okay, you absolutely have to be smashing market close on your position if you're in a short. Because what happens is the market recovers very quickly. And that's from the simple perspective of we're in a very strong uptrend, the assets are desirable, there's plenty of demand, there's plenty of buyers, and an opportunity to buy at a 10, 11, 12, 13, 14% discount on Link is going to get snapped up, as it was, very quickly. So there were a range of legitimate plays you could have taken going into the sell-off yesterday. Okay, so from my system perspective, and I shared the tweets yesterday, there was a really solid divergence that I had that has got a pretty decent strike rate. Okay, so as long as you manage risk around those particular setups, right, you can take advantage of some of the short side. Again, it's not advisable, and you've got to be pretty damn experienced in terms of doing so, and well disciplined. But when you get those playouts, get out of position. What happens is we tend to change our psychology as it happens. So we tend to change the way that we begin thinking about the asset when we've got a short position, especially a short position that's doing well. So what happens is this is the Link chart that was mapped out. All right, and this was the key level. All right, this is the level I would have liked to have seen retested. And this was an aggressive pullback, and I kind of wasn't expecting it maybe to happen, in terms of one sell-off just taking us all the way down. Potentially a sell-off to here, consolidation, and then a final leg before rally, right? But didn't get it. But that also plays into the thinking on this, okay? So despite having a target down here, Link produced a move that, even grabbing it from this region here, takes you down into the 10.5% down here. Right, so a huge down move, a huge correction that we saw in this. And that has to be your get out point. Despite having a target down here, this has to be your get out point. 10% in a strong uptrend with an asset that's in price discovery has to be the get out. Okay, it has to be your exit the short position. So the psychology change that we see on this is during the rally, it's a case of I'm not shorting Link. Right, that's what you think. You think I'm not going to short Link because you're a fool if you short Link. It just keeps on stopping out shorters. There's no way I'm touching it. That becomes your thought process, which is absolutely an acceptable thought process to have. And then what happens is you see Link get above $10, and all of a sudden something in your head changes. You think, $10, okay. That should be a psychological level, right? That should be something that, people want to sell at $10. And then you see a short opportunity, whatever way you're trading. You think, oh shit, yeah, I see a short opportunity here. I'm going to take it. So number one, you've forgotten about what you told yourself previously about not shorting this asset, because you now got caught up in the current conditions, and with a little bit of subjectivity around a potential psychological level of $10, you've convinced yourself that shorting is a good idea. So then you move into your short position, and you say to yourself, okay, when we get a downside move here, I'm going to close up the position. Right, I'm going to get out of this Link position because it's in a strong uptrend. As soon as it moves down, I'm going to lock in that profit. And then what happens is when Link sells off, as your percentage and your P&L ticks higher, which is exactly what you want, So as PNL rises, right, PNL going up, the likelihood of you closing this position goes down, right? So the likelihood of you closing this position now drops. And the reason being is the whole time this is selling off, your mindset starts changing and you start convincing yourself that this was the top. And you are now involved in a short position from above $10, which Link will probably never see again. And you are one of the lucky few that have managed to get a short entry above $10. So as your PNL rises and as Link continues to drop percentage points to the downside, your mindset shifts and you start saying to yourself, I'm holding on to this. Like we've now done 6% and then you watch, we've done 7%, we've done 8%. Like I'm just holding this, right? Maybe I'll trail my stop down to like here or back to break even, but I'm holding. And so because of the market conditions, you change your thinking. So you've gone from, right at the very start of my example, I'm not shorting Link because it's in a crazy uptrend in price discovery mode, to, okay, I think I see a short here. I'll get the impulse to the downside and then I'll get out, to, I'm not closing, I just shorted the top, right? And that transition through the steps is pretty common. And that's why when I talk about discipline and when I talk about the ability to close a trade and being experienced enough to just get out, that's where we see the change. And obviously the conditions that we saw on Link afterwards, we hit this low here, right? And we've now rallied 20% from that point. So a further illustration that unless you can short and you can handle the short side, okay, and the discipline that's involved in closing positions and getting out, then look for longs, right? Look for longs. Because even in this very small instance of Link right here, okay, even in this small instance of Link, we got a 10% down move into a 20% up move. So still, by far and away, the most successful side to be on will be the long side. The most successful side will always be the long side in these current conditions. Now, if we go one little further dive into this, is sometimes we have to, let's again go with the example of you're in a short position. We have to assess, and this is something I try and do as much as possible, is what bullish or bearish aims have been achieved. So in the last period of price action, where we see these volatile moves and these impulse moves, what bullish or bearish sort of markers have been set and what objectives have been hit? And Link was a very good example of this, because all through this region here, we've got this build up of long positions, okay, as people are longing the dips down in this region below $10. And we can see very nicely that, there's this concentration built up all the way through here as we're continuing to apply the pressure up to 990 and then eventually to the breakthrough point. So this, for me, was the area to attack. Right? This is the one that's got all of those over-leveraged long positions, right, all the way through this region. And then when we take a look at where this wick crushed through, right down to the bottom of here, clearing through all of this region, and then bouncing. So this, for me, achieved a very bullish aim in terms of driving out existing positions here, okay, allowing those potential, profit takers or short openers here to capitalize on that huge down move, and then rallying back up in the trend direction. So it achieved a very bullish aim for me down here. And again, this would be another confirmation, especially on this candle close here on the hourly. So getting down to 907 and closing it above 950 with this wick and where it ran through, even if you didn't close the bottom or anywhere near the bottom, this should have been your get out point, right? Again, this sort of buy up, and this is to be expected because of the trend that we're in. All right, so this is like a 10-minute rundown on Link and kind of a further confirmation to support the article of when you're shorting, be aggressive, right? As I said, I'm not trying to talk anybody out of shorting. if you see a setup, I always think you're fine to take it. I just think you need to be incredibly well disciplined in order to action those and not to get sucked in to a different mindset as soon as you take that trade and you see the action, because it very quickly changes our approach. So I hope this has been helpful. Best of luck and enjoy the weekend.